Welcome to KipDC Math! Today, we're going to write 4-digit numbers in words. Yesterday, we learned that the place of the digit determines its value, and we connected how the number is written with those digits to these place value blocks. Let's take a minute to review. How could I describe this model? Blank thousands, blank hundreds, blank tens, and blank ones. Go ahead and fill in those blanks really quickly. Great job! Here is the thousands block, and we have one of them, so we said 1,000. Here are our hundreds flats. We have 3 of them, so we say 300s. Here are our tens rods. We have 4 of them, so we say 4 tens. And here are our ones cubes. We have 8 of them, so we say 8 ones. But this is a lot to say if I want to describe my whole number. 1,000s, 300s, 4 tens, and 8 ones. A lot of times with language, when we say something lots and lots of times, we shorten it. And so we have some shorter ways to say some of these numbers. And when the numbers get really big, then we take some even bigger shortcuts, which we'll learn later. But for now, we just need to know that instead of saying 4 tens, people say something a little shorter. They say 4, and they put a T-Y at the end. 4T. If it had been 3 tens, they would say 30. If it had been 5 tens, they would say 50. They don't bother with the and, since we know all these go together. And later on, in 5th and 6th grade, you'll use the word and to mean a decimal place. And they don't even bother to say the ones, because if we say 8, we just mean 8, like 8 single things, 8 ones, 8 units. We don't bother to say that part either. So we're still saying a lot of our values, but we're just taking a few little shortcuts. This number would be 1,348. That's how we say it. When we're saying the numbers, we have to be really, really careful that even though they might start with the same digit, like all of these start with a 9, they don't all mean the same thing. Go ahead and drag the number to the word that it matches. Go ahead and drag the number to the correct word. Wonderful. If I use a place value chart here, this is 9 ones, so we just say it as 9. If I use a place value chart here, I have 9 tens, that's 90. If I use a place value chart here, I have 9 hundreds. And if I use a place value chart here, I have 9 thousands. Let's make sure we keep these little slight differences in mind as we hear from a special guest. Hi!
Hi, how are you, Miss Ramish?
Great, how are you?
Good.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, I am Mrs. Fry, the principal at KipDC Lead Academy. Hi, scholars.
Hi, well, we're so happy to have you. Thank you.
Of course, I'm excited.
Yeah, yesterday we were modeling 4-digit numbers, and we were wondering if today you would talk to us about how to read 4-digit numbers in words.
Of course, let's dive in.
Okay.
So first step, you always want to start with your place value chart. And when you draw your place value chart, you want to start in your smallest place and move from right to left, because you never know how big your number might be. So today we're going to start drawing our place value chart, and we're going to start with our ones.
Got it.
We're going to draw it all the way up to our thousands.
Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands.
Awesome.
Got it.
Beautiful. Now that we have our place value chart, we can actually put our numbers in the place value chart to help us read them. So let's start, and let's put a 4 in the thousands place, a 5 in the hundreds place, a 7 in the tens place, and a 2 in the ones place.
Done.
Now, we read this, we're not going to read 4,000s, 500s, 7 tens, and 2 ones. We're going to read it as 4,000, 500, and we're going to say 7T instead of 7 tens, and 2 instead of 2 ones. So all together, it's 4,572. And notice that I didn't say the word and, because we save the word and for when we do decimal points.
Awesome. I'm just writing it down so we can see how it's written in words. That sounds great. Thank you so much, Miss Fry.
It was great.
Miss Fry just explained that so clearly and made it seem so simple. But it can actually be trickier than you think, especially with a question like this that's multiple choice. I see in all of these choices 2s, 5s, 6s, and 1s. So the digits seem to be there. The trick is that there are little differences that actually make kind of a big difference if you're saying the number. So I'm going to put this in the place value chart for us. And now go ahead and you see if you can pick the choice that's exactly right. And if it helps, maybe think about why some of these other ones are wrong. The answer was D.
Woohoo!
The reason is because this 2 needed 1,000 after it. And that was missing in part A, and it was missing in part B. So we know those are wrong. C and D look nearly identical. I see 2,000, I see 500, but then there's one little tiny difference here. Just the difference of 2 little letters changes what the number means, right? This isn't 6, this is 6D because it's 6 tens. It can also get challenging if you're trying to go from words to numbers. We still use a place value chart, just like we always do whenever we're working with place value. But then I really have to look at the value words that are written for clues. So for example here, 2,000, that's a value word. That tells me to put the 2 in the thousands place. Now this can be tricky because I see a 9. I might want to put the 9 right next to it. But let's look for the value clues, right? It says 9T. That's 9 tens, so I have 9 here. What do you think I should put in the hundreds place? I should put a 0 because there are no hundreds. No hundreds are written, and a 0 goes there to hold that place open so the 2 can stay in the thousands. Last thing is just a 4, and we know that that's 4 ones. So this is how the number 2094 gets written. And we can't forget this 0 to make sure we show that there are no hundreds in it. So we learned that the place tells us the value. But now we're kind of seeing that the value tells us it's the place, right? When we hear those values in our words or we see those values in our model, then we know where to place the digits. That's awesome. Yay for your super brain using all these words. It's gonna get even trickier as we go on, so keep coming back every day so we can build and build our learning.